Greetings, I'm Shad coming at you from Atitlán Organics, and today I'm just going to do a quick run through of the 12 permaculture design principles as laid out by David Holmgren. Number 1, observe and interact. This is the first principle because it's the most important. Observation of the landscape and also of the dynamics and the patterns that move within a site is critical to permaculture design. I like to say that all observations are important, and that it's actually better not to ask why, but just record the observation. Number 2, catch and store energy. When we talk about energy in permaculture, we mean all different types of energy, not just solar energy or wind energy, but also people energy, how they move through the site, wild animals, domesticated animals, fertility and soil flows, water flows. Capturing energy is really all about how do we capture a useful resource that flows onto our site and then have it be cycled through the site to use it in as many different creative ways as possible. Number 3, obtain a yield. Obtaining a yield is critical as well to permaculture design. Keyhole designs and swales are all well and good, but if you're not getting something nourishing and visceral from the system, it can get kind of boring. We like to say, a Bill Mollison quote, that the yield of any system is really only limited by the creativity of the designer. I like to think of that as a challenge to see how creative you can get stacking yields. Number 4, apply self-regulation and accept feedback. This is probably my favorite permaculture principle. Applying self-regulation means to, in some way, automate the design, but it doesn't necessarily mean to take yourself out completely. Rather, just define your level of involvement and then stick to it. What's most important is that you must accept the feedback. Design is an iterative process where you make a change, receive the feedback, and then make another relevant change. Use and value renewable resources and services. Even though David Holmgren says it as use and value renewable resources and services, I like to change this one to the Bill Mollison quote, always favor biological solutions. How can a plant solve this problem for me? How can an animal do that work? As opposed to going to cement and other non-living entropic systems that degrade over time, biological solutions and natural resources live on and regenerate over time. Number 6, produce no waste. Waste is an interesting concept, and it really isn't something that exists in natural systems. I like to bring up the term MOOP, which is matter out of place, and also remind people that waste is just an unused output of any system. As we begin to design, think of the outflows and the unvalued products and energy flows that flow out of a system, and then challenge yourself to see how you can use them somewhere else creatively. Number 7, design from patterns to details. Pattern recognition is the precursor to design, and it's really important to understand the larger external patterns that are working on any system. Maybe they're weather or people patterns. For example, a high season in a tourist area or a rainy season or the winter. But getting bogged down in the details of where to place certain things or how something will be built is much less important at the beginning than focusing on the patterns that influence the flow of energy. Number 8, integrate rather than segregate. I really think that permaculture is most interested in functional interactions or relationships between two different things. Asking how the herb garden interacts with the chicken house is much more important than just that fact that you have an herb garden. We're really interested in permaculture in how to create beneficial interactions through the integration of multiple elements. Number 9, slow and small solutions. I think this is a really important principle, especially in our industrialized culture where the mentality is go big or go home. By using slow solutions and small-scale designs, you allow yourself to be flexible to incoming information and energy flows, being able to change without losing too much momentum. By starting slow and small systems, you can adapt as you go, and you build systems that have longevity and resiliency well into the future. Number 10, use and value diversity. Permaculture is all about stacking functions and mixing elements together. By valuing diversity of plants, animals, and people, we build robust and resilient systems. Diversity is important and allows you to spread the risk across a wide range of different production areas. A monoculture is susceptible to pests, diseases, and weather patterns, whereas diverse production systems always give you something to take home. Number 11, use edges and value the marginal. In permaculture, we talk about the edge effect, which is basically where two different things meet and join together. If you have a forest and a pasture, on the edge of that forest and pasture, perhaps you have birds that live in the forest and birds that live in the pasture. But you also have a third type of bird that needs the pasture and the forest to do everything it needs to do to survive. The edge is not just 1 + 1 is 2, but really 1 + 1 = 3. Number 12, creatively use and respond to change. This principle, I like to highlight the word respond as opposed to react. The only thing we know for certain is that things are constantly changing, and building systems that are resilient means they're able to respond to change thoughtfully and creatively. The corollary to this is that every element in your system should have 3 functions, and every important function should be supported by at least 3 elements.